Hello world, Frida Dorsey and Patricia O'Connor here, and it is Saturday night. Saturday night at the O'Connor's place. And what we have here is this morning took this guy out to the table and let it get start drying out and let it start getting some light on the needles. I didn't put it in direct sunlight yet, but I wanted the needles to begin to get oriented. I wanted them to start moving some of the water that was in this pot. I was looking forward to the tree being dry enough to water again, so we can start doing that. Added a little bio gold to this one, as well as the cork bark Japanese black pine. But one thing that I had noticed about the tree, one, I'd been looking at the tree on the internet for a week or so before I ever pulled the trigger and bought it. And what I really, really, really love about this tree, let me just tell y'all what I really, really, really love about this tree is that we had done all of that work this past fall on those baker's dozen of little pine trees. We did what I called my little Cheerios, where I bent all those little circles and trunks and just got those little pliable little green things to just do some wicked hellacious bends like they were canyon trees. But one thing they're totally lacking is branches. And at some point, when those things begin to put out some actual branches, I look forward to putting wire to them and doing the same to them. So whenever I saw this trunk and it doing its little spiral, man, that just got my heart going. I looked at all of these new branches and I thought, that stuff that's still pliable enough, it's not barked over enough, not barked over too much in the way that we can still bend it. And so there's all kind of possibilities. So I started thinking about that. I started looking at that and I thought, yeah, there's definitely some branches on there that I would like to do some of my Cheerios stuff to. And then I thought, from the photos that I was seeing, I got kind of a bad impression of this. Sometimes photography doesn't always provide the best angles. You know, I mean, you can lose depth perception in some shots. But that one thing I thought that I wanted to fix, that I definitely would definitely have never needed to fix, was this angle. It was I had thought of a dozen different ways of possibly repairing this angle, and then once I got it out of the crate, I went, yeah, there's nothing that needs to happen there. A wedge cut would have done what I was thinking about, but that would have meant that later in life I wouldn't be able to bend it, because that would be that structural fault of a wedge cut. It calluses over on both sides of the cut, but it doesn't scar over like a gash on your skin and then scab over and then heal. That will never happen. If you try to apply force to that tree where that is, you will always be able to reopen that. So that was one thing. Another thing I thought about, just while we're talking about levers and stuff, is I thought about laying something right in here, a bar laying right in here. It would just lay right there, and it would come. How were you thinking of doing this? It would go from down here and come out right here. Boom, boom. And it would come out down here, right? And then I would wire it here to where it wouldn't move. And I would wire it here under this crotch where it wouldn't move. But it would be sticking out. Let's see, find your finger pad. It would be sticking out down here. Then to that, I could have attached a line up here to pull this branch down. I'd even thought about a new way to maybe bend trees And I'm not so sure that I don't want to look at that more. But you know how sometimes you'll see somebody, they'll have a line going, a guy wire from here to down here on the pot, right? And every once in a while you'll see a place where they can crank on that guy wire. Well, what if they took a socket, like on a socket set, and cut a long slot in the socket and then ground the slot on either side to where it wouldn't cut a wire if you just slid the socket on a piece of wire and then started running up the socket. Then the wire would spool up on the socket as if it's a reel, and you would begin to reel that in. Now, if you're not strong enough to do that with the socket, make it a breakover bar, for which they have many, many different lengths. Also, could be a winch motor. Anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking about. But then that's not needed. All that was really needed was all I was really thinking in the end. I didn't really want to bend this branch. I didn't want to move this branch, but I did want to change the angle. I thought originally I wanted to change the angle down here so much as to make this flat. I didn't understand, one, how thick all of this already was and how flat all of it. That's the angle right there, is dictating how flat this shelf is from which all these other parts come. So that made perfect sense. And once I could see it and get a better look at the dimensions, it made a lot more sense to me. So one of the other things that I was looking at when I was looking at the pictures is I'd been looking at a tree on another site where it had came up and done something like this, and then it was a literati, and its branch came down, and instead of pointing out, it kicked back to it. And whenever I saw this and had its branch kicking out, I thought that would be cool. Looking at the way it's wired, I'd have to go almost 360 to bring it back around to get it to kick back and point back at itself. But that would be worthwhile to do. And there were a couple of other things that I thought about. I saw a couple of branches that I thought were smaller, and I was wondering, would they be small enough for me to do my Cheerio move? Because what your branches do should show up in the trunk, and what your trunk does should reflect in the branches, back and forth, back and forth. If this were a formal upright, it wouldn't make sense to have branches that came down and curly cued down like streamers from a skyrocket. But this twist in that trunk gave us carte blanche to do that thing that we do. Also, it'd be a little early to start doing that thing we do. In my mind, I should have thought more about letting the tree. But here's what happened. The tree got put in a crate and a frame, right? Boom, boom. And then at the last minute to make it fit, some things had to be pushed in and pushed down. It didn't hurt anything. It didn't break anything. It didn't snap anything. It was done like that by a pro so that it would survive. I get it. It's not a complaint. That meant that I got the fun of putting things back where I thought they belonged. And I already said I wanted to position this branch in instead of out. So when it came time to put it back to where it belonged, I put it where I liked it. And then when it came time to put this branch where it belonged, it's just about where it belongs, except it's got a 360 in it now. This branch was over here. It's over here now. This branch is down. This branch is much farther down. There's another big branch in here somewhere that I did a hellacious change to. But these things are starting to mimic the movement of the trunk. And I was really hoping that I changed the shape of this guy quite a bit. It's all of it has changed a little bit. See, we put a curl in here. We started one in here. We took this guy down. We took this guy down. We took this back. A lot of it, you can start to see where Pat has had started to do her that little thing I do on this guy. And what's cool is a lot of this really hard stuff. See, we took this guy down. Everything is cascading down. And whereas as soon as I got it out of the box, a lot of the candles were facing in the wrong direction. I have most of them facing in an upward direction now, ready to recuperate and grab the light. But quite a few of them, I actually bent them in a different direction and or put a 360 in them before I got them to that direction. And I'm pretty happy with all of that. I think between the really cool stuff that Andy Smith did and the really cool stuff that Frida and I did tonight, I think we probably haven't stressed the tree out too much. It probably feels more like it got put back where it belonged. But I'm a lot happier about the direction of some of this. I'm a lot happier about the direction of some of this stuff. I know it's dark in here. It seems like I have on more lights, but I usually don't shoot in this part of the house, which is what's got us. Maybe if I go over, let's go over here and see if we can do our, yeah, that's a little better lit. Anyway, that's kind of what I did at Saturday night at the Bonsai. I got one more thing that's ahead of me. Excuse me, I got one more move ahead of me, and it's a little bit too big for my guns. I have no guns, or I say my arms. I'm not strong enough to do this. I want it from here to here straight. I put motion in everything else like that. It doesn't have to do some rainbow from here to here. I would almost like it to do a half rainbow starting right here. But I would like to take this piece farther down that way to stop this one straight line. That'll help out all of this stuff and bring the top of that down too. That'll be the next move. What I could do to facilitate that, you can kind of see it's opening up. Maybe you can see it where it's opening up right there, where I put a little bit of mojo on it. But I could take a bar and put some rubber tape around. See, I don't have a lot of bark here. We don't have a lot of stuff to really worry about damaging in the way of bark. But I would throw some of my rubber tape and put a bar from here. No, I wouldn't. I'd go from here to here and then bend it down this way. But I wouldn't do the length of it. I'd do it from here to here. Put a bar from here to here and then start bending it down that way. Use that lever to just take from here over and take it that way and down. So it's kind of like going over there, taking it more over here. And then at some point, I'm going to try to figure out is this something you do when you want to leave the customer all the deadwood so that they can play with, so that the customer gets to play with the deadwood? Or is this actually good deadwood and I should be going squee? I'm not really sure. It looks a little long to me, but on the other hand, it all does tell the same story. You see, that's what I'm talking about. The trunk is telling the story of twists, and that means that we get to continue that song. We get to continue telling that story. And so that's what we have going there. Had it been incredibly straight, all of these bends wouldn't make a lot of sense. And to that end, this deadwood certainly does have a lot of twist in it. Although it could say we have a lot of twist in it, in my mind, end here. Or it could say we have a lot of twists in it, and maybe end here. And here. I don't think it all has to be that long. But it's hard to grow back. deadwood. So before I cut it off, I'm going to make sure that it's not, that wouldn't be something, sometimes you do stuff and then you find out that everybody likes having whatever, far be it to me to, excuse me, far be it to me to alter stuff and then find out I'm cutting off the good parts, I guess is what I would be concerned with when it comes to that. So yeah, that's too straight, but it's not barked over. We're not going to send really cool, and you can see how much I've bent that. It's not too much out of my range, but it is a little. Anyway, that is a 16-minute look at our latest acquisition. I think I've got all the parts pretty much in the direction that they should be in for now, except that, like I keep saying. And everything else has got kind of a swirl and, and a cascade down to it. It's all pretty much just, it is all pretty much just kind of saying that same thing pretty consistently, I think. And I feel pretty good about the way, I have all the tops pointed. And Frida's feeling pretty good about the way things are going too. So yeah, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. This is our Saturday night. This is our Saturday night at the O'Connor's little bonsai drop. Just a little quick introduction to Ponder, our latest Ponderosa, said to be a 125-year-old Ponderosa pine, collected in 2021 at 5,000 feet. Look at this base. It starts from here to here. Thank you all so much for watching.